nothing at all. Out of nothing at all. I know you were right, believing for so long. I'm all out.
Hello, friends, and welcome back. People gathered to record some of the most passionate and romantic 80s songs. Their music stirs deep nostalgia for the golden era, and you simply won't believe the scandalous tale behind the band's name. This is the story of the extraordinary Air Supply. In 1975, Australian Russell Charles Hitchcock and Englishman Graham Sell Russell shockingly joined forces in Australia to form this iconic band, which quickly became legendary as its core members. Russell was born in Melbourne, Australia, on June 15, 1949. He is the son of Mal and BET, and his sister is Gail. From a very young age, he developed a keen interest in music. When his sister purchased a sound system to play their 12-inch records, his first influences were artists like Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett. His passion intensified after he attended a Beatles concert in his home country in 1964, a life-changing experience that spurred him to pursue a career as a professional singer. At 16, he dropped out of school and began working as a salesperson in a local store. He eventually formed his first band, 19th Generation, in which he not only played the drums, but also served as the lead vocalist. At 20, Russell secured a job at a computer company, where he worked for 3 years before being promoted and transferred to Sydney. It was there that his then-girlfriend urged him to audition for the rock opera Jesus Christ Superstar. Though the young man agreed, upon arriving he discovered more than 200 hopefuls vying for the same role, which initially discouraged him because he felt he wasn't good enough. Ready to quit, in a moment of courage, he decided to return and audition again. Little did he know that this decision would change the course of his life. He was not only accepted into the production, but he also met the Englishman Graham Russell, who would become his close friend and enduring bandmate for decades. But what was this Englishman doing in Australia? Graham was born in Arnold, a suburb of Nottingham, England, on June 11, 1950. From the time he learned to read, he showed a deep passion for poetry, music, and books. In addition to teaching himself guitar and percussion when he was 10 years old, he suffered a tragedy that marked him forever: the premature death of his mother due to cancer. This event caused him deep depression and trauma, leading him to lose his voice for several months. At the time, the boy wore a big paper pad on a string around his neck, writing answers to questions his family asked or expressing what he needed through short written notes. It was a truly traumatic experience for him. Young Graham began writing small verses after that, which became his first songs. Soon after, he started practicing with his guitar, adding melodies to these poems, which gradually helped him regain his ability to speak. I poured everything into that. I started to write songs without knowing. Nobody has ever taught me music. I just taught myself. Writing a song was my escape from everything. I just loved it so much. I'd write 3 or 4 songs a week. The loss of his mother was also a heavy blow to his father, who, in search of a fresh start, decided to travel with his family to Australia. However, at the last minute, young Graham refused to go. After that, he joined a few bands and wrote lyrics inspired by the poetry of famous authors like Lord Byron and Percy Shelley, but with little success. Hoping to change his environment, he eventually decided to join his father and sister in Australia, unaware that this country would lead him to his destiny. In 1975, Graham attended auditions for the Australian production of Jesus Christ Superstar, where he met Russell Hitchcock. On the same day, the two immediately became friends, unaware of the many circumstances that had aligned to bring them together. They soon realized they had a lot in common. Both were Beatles fans and were born in June. They even shared the same name, Russell Graham. Hitchcock now adds the colorful detail that on that fateful first day of rehearsal, he fell and twisted his ankle, and Russell helped him up. That was the beginning of a lasting friendship. During rehearsals or after work, Graham would pick up his guitar and play some classics or original songs, and Russell would often join in, with everyone commenting on how good they sounded together. Soon after, they started performing in local bars, catching the audience's attention. They officially formed the group in 1975, but some changes in the accompanying musicians slightly delayed the release of their first single, Love and Other Bruises. Their debut single was released only in 1976. Love and Other Bruises didn't have to choose, but it did, and the song reached 6th place on the Australian Kent Music Report singles chart, giving the group significant recognition. It remains their highest-charting single in Australia at that point. The band's core members were no longer 2 but 3: Graham Russell, Russell Hitchcock, and Jeremy Paul. Regarding the band's founding, Graham Russell once dreamed of seeing a giant sign in the sky with bright lights that read, "Air Supply." The band's name was born from that almost divine designation. In 1977, they opened for Rod Stewart's Australian tour. Rod was so impressed with the group that he invited them to accompany him on his North American tour, too. Thus, they embarked on their first major tour and released several albums initially without much attention. By the end of this tour, Jeremy left the band. At the time, the band members were facing severe financial struggles despite achieving some success, particularly in Australia. Graham and Russell admitted that their situation was so dire that they often searched for coins under hotel sofas just to buy bread. Imagine that. In 1979, the band finally got their big break when the legendary American producer Clive Davis, who launched major stars like Aerosmith and Whitney Houston, discovered their song Lost in Love. Initially, the song was a 6-minute epic released in Australia that did not gain much attention. Clive Davis remixed the track and, at the start of 1980, released a shorter version that rocketed into the top 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. This breakthrough moment shocked the music world, and it changed everything. Graham Russell revealed that he wrote the song in about 15 minutes, sticking to his keep it simple principle. "My songs are straight ahead, real simple chords. The simpler, the better. So a song like Lost in Love, with 4 chords and only 2 parts, there's no chorus, just a verse and a bridge, shouldn't take longer than 15 minutes to write." Months later, the album Lost in Love dropped, featuring not only the hit title track, but also 2 more songs that climbed into the top 5. The smash hit Every Woman in the World, number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, and All Out of Love, number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 11 on the United Kingdom singles chart. I Want You to Come Back and Carry Me Home. I Know Love. I'm So Lost. In 1981, Air Supply returned to tremendous success with their 6th studio album, which included the electrifying track, Here I Am, Only You Can Feel That Space Inside, Just Wait, and Sweet Dreams. The title track, The One You Love, became their first and only number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Love is everywhere. I know it is here. The album went on to become the most famous and successful of their career, multiplying their popularity during the early 1980s when they released the album Now and Forever in 1982. The band firmly established themselves as one of the decade's most successful and recognized acts, with the album continuing their reign in the U.S. by featuring the top hit, Even the Nights Are Better, which peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. In 1983, Air Supply unleashed one of the most famous albums in music history, the ultimate greatest hits collection. This album showcased an incredible ballad by the brilliant Jim Steinman, Making Love Out of Nothing at All, a song that skyrocketed the album to phenomenal success by selling over 5 million copies in the United States. In 1984, their track, I Can't Wait Forever, was featured in a scene from the blockbuster movie Ghostbusters, I Could Never, Never Let You Go. Then, in 1985, they dropped two sensational songs that stormed the charts: their electrifying rendition of Rob Hagel's single Just As I Am, and a fresh version of the hit The Power of Love, originally performed by Jennifer Rush, retitled My Lady, I'm Ready to Learn of the Power of Love. By 1986, they delivered more unforgettable singles that have stood the test of time, including One More Chance, which, like several of their hits, found greater success in Latin America than in the United States. In 1980, Air Supply rocked the prestigious Vig del Mare Festival in Chile, earning wild applause and celebration from the crowd.
Baby, somewhere to belong.
In 1988, Graham and Russell decided to take a break, and during that time, Russell Hitchcock ventured into a solo album. Although his solo effort initially struggled, in 1990, his single Swear to Your Heart shined on the Arachnophobia soundtrack, reaching 9th on the Billboard Adult Contemporary chart. In July 1991, the duo recorded The Earth Is and achieved tremendous success with their rendition of Without You, originally by Badfinger. Without You, No, I Can't Forget This Evening. Applause. Everybody Is Without You and other tracks garnered widespread acclaim, especially in Latin America and Asia. In 1993, their song Goodbye attained moderate success. Interestingly, it was penned by Linda Thompson, the longtime girlfriend of the great Elvis Presley. Nothing was left to say but goodbye.
In your eyes.
From that moment on, the band's popularity began to wane. Although they continued to release albums regularly, they could no longer top the charts in the United States or England, finding greater success in Asia, where they soared in popularity. In 2005, Air Supply became one of the first foreign bands invited to perform in Havana, Cuba. They were scheduled for 2 concerts and delivered the first show on July 7th, the day before Hurricane Dennis struck the island. I used to think I was reaching for a heart that was already whole, now that I found
Just
you.
when I thought time had set me free.
Now that we're here together. Even when high winds raged, that concert drew an audience of 175,000. Due to the hurricane, the second show was canceled. Air Supply's overall sales and airplay stats are astounding. They sold 20 million copies of their first 3 albums, Lost in Love, The One That You Love Now and Forever, and the 1983 Greatest Hits collection. They performed 5,500 shows as of October 2024 in Monon, Canada. Graham and Russell share a trove of vibrant, colorful stories. Both recall that a high point was performing for Prince Charles and Princess Diana, and later speaking with them at a luncheon during the bicentennial of Australia in 1988. On a personal note, since the 1980s, there have been rumors that Graham and Russell were homosexual, possibly due to the style of music they performed and Russell's unique voice. However, these were merely rumors, as both men have had relationships with different women and have children. Tracking Russell Hitchcock's marital history has proven challenging. Evidence shows that Russell married Diane in Sydney in the early 1970s. She worked at Wizard Records and Radio 2 MMM-FM, and it is claimed that they had a son named John, born in April 1970. In 1986, Russell married flight attendant Paula Fulmer, and in 1988 their daughter, Sydney Rose Hitchcock, was born a few years later, though that marriage ended. Hitchcock currently lives in Los Angeles, California. In September 2021, he tested positive for COVID-19, In 1967, Graham married his high school sweetheart, Linda, at the young age of 18. The couple welcomed 2 children, Simon and Samantha, though their marriage ended in 1978. In 1981, Graham met film and television actress Jod Varble at a show, and after 2 years of exchanging letters, they became a couple and married in 1986 when Jod was 21 and Russell was 36. They have stayed together ever since, always supporting each other's careers and personal dreams. Notably, she appears as his love interest in the first music video for the single "Making Love Out of Nothing at All." In July 2022, Graham Russell tested positive for COVID-19, and he currently resides in Park City, Utah. Beyond his musical triumphs, Graham Russell is celebrated for his philanthropic spirit. He has actively participated in numerous charitable causes, especially in wildlife conservation. His generous contributions to music and charity have solidified his legacy as an artist who not only entertains, but also gives back to the community. And I turned my whole property into a conservation area, and then I became a rehabilitator for all these animals. Air Supply's music, known for its romantic and heartfelt themes, continues to be a cultural touchstone for fans all around the globe. Reflecting on their incredible and ever-evolving journey since their early days in the chorus of Jesus Christ Superstar, Graham and Russell express boundless gratitude for their good fortune and the unwavering support of fans worldwide. Graham states, "I'm grateful that I've had an incredible life so far, and I find it very fulfilling that our songs mean so much to people everywhere. We travel, and it's also been wonderful to work with and meet so many great people, and to have had such a long friendship with Russell that is the envy of so many." Russell adds, "We are so grateful to have a legacy that we can be proud of, and that our music has meant so much to so many." Today's video is a brief look back at the legendary band Air Supply. Leave a comment with your favorite song and tell us who you'd like us to cover next on the channel.